Welcome back to Kanika's Corner. Usually I talk about my experiences with motherhood and all my learnings from it. But by profession I am a counselor, and today I thought I would talk about something related to mental health that's really close to my heart. This is my story that happened quite some time ago and in a land not far away from here. We spent about 8 years in the Middle East, and in 2000 my family decided to move back to Bangalore, our hometown. I was really excited about this because this meant that I would then be living with my grandparents and my cousins and our whole extended family, and it made me feel like we are making the right decision by coming back. This also meant that there was a shift in school and learning a new language. So I learned Kannada, settled into a new syllabus, and also looked at making new friends, which is a huge thing for a 12-year-old. I have my family genes of, fairer skin and a lack of hair, and this became the butt of a lot of jokes in school, which made it more difficult to make friends, I would say, at that point. And so as a girl entering my teens, here I had issues with, low self-confidence. I was trying to figure out who I am, what my identity is, what do I want to do. All of these questions that a lot of teens usually have. And for me, these just became big issues. So by the end of 2000, I had developed lots of coughs and colds. I'd have them very frequently. I had developed gastric issues, I had migraines, and there were days when I was in so much pain that I would just miss a good chunk of school. I wasn't able to get back to school until I felt better. So as a doctor, my mother reached out to her colleagues to, have me investigated and understand what was happening to me. Here I was, a supposedly healthy 12-year-old who had suddenly developed all of this. So, what was happening? I underwent a series of MRI scans, CT scans, blood tests. I even had a barium endoscopy done, and it went to the extent of me having an appendectomy to remove an appendix that was, actually not very inflamed. It wasn't very infected. But the stomach ache that I had that day was so severe that the doctor said that, okay, we need to remove her appendix. That must be what is creating the stomach pain. And turned out that it wasn't the appendix that was creating it, but we still didn't know what. There was a huge amount of stomach pain on that day, and that's all that we know. So I made several trips into the ER. I had really severe abdominal pain or breathing issues. And it was during one of these trips to the ER that the doc there told my mom and said, I think you need to take her to a psychiatrist. I think it is more than just physiological issues, because you have eliminated everything. You've done every test possible and everything is looking good on the inside. So could it be something else? So this is where, the story takes a really nice twist. When we think about seeing a psychiatrist, it's sort of like a taboo. But my family threw that out, and my mom just took me to her psychiatry professor and said, let's have a talk. Let's see what's happening. It took only one session for this doc to, put together all the dots and say that it was actually a psychosocial issue that I was having, that I was under some kind of stress and not dealing with my emotions very well, and therefore converting it into physical issues, right? So basically, the mind was so powerful that it had taken over various parts of my body and was throwing out all of these pains, like a headache, a stomach pain so bad that even an appendectomy happened. That was what my mind was doing to me. We went for several sessions of counseling, and we used to go across town because that's where this doc was located, in mom's medical college where she studied. And I guess it was really a revelation as to how deeply I had buried things. I learned to differentiate between what was true pain, when I was actually having a cold or a cough or a runny nose or a stomach pain, and what was false. When were these pains coming out because it was just, some feeling that I had that was very intense. I would put together a journal And that journal actually helped me see, okay, what is the event and what is it leading to. And it was incredible to see how small things were being blown up by my mind. So for example, my dad was traveling a lot at that point, and we went one day to drop him to the airport, and I came back and had a really bad headache that day. What I attributed the bad headache to was the fact that I had put oil on my head, gone on the drive to the airport, come back and then washed it. So I kept it on for a lot longer than usual, and therefore for me the oil created the headache. I did not associate the fact with my father leaving for a few days as causing the headache. And learning those subtleties is what helped me overcome this and not have so much pain in my life anymore and not create so much of distress for my family. So through this process of counseling, I learned how to deal with my emotions. I learned that you voice it out, you talk about it, you don't keep it inside you and let it burst out like a volcano with all of these uncomfortable consequences. That keep it out, don't keep it in, became a really important lesson for me. Because the mind can twist things so easily. It can, take one little thing and make a big mountain out of it. And when I look back at, what all happened in those few short years, just about 2 years, it tells me that this is just a churning that can happen in the mind, and any change can happen. So, a change to the positive can also happen. And when I realized this, that, the same things that were making me feel weak and, drowning me out, I took those and I said, this is not who I want to be. I want to be a healthy girl who loves to run around, who loves to dance, and who loves to play music and, do all of that. And that's who I became. By taking all of these lessons, by learning about how the mind can do positive things also, and just going ahead and doing it. So as I started to, sort out through my emotions and feelings, unbelievable how within such a short span of time, all of these episodes of, pain that I had vanished. I would think, in about 2 months' time, that I had none of these pains, none of the needing to go to the hospital or visit a doctor, and I was actually a healthy girl. The power of speaking to someone and just getting that help is truly what helped me. And it has motivated me to become a counselor and, say that little bit of talking made a difference in my life. And I would like to continue to make that difference in my life while also helping others. Over the years, I've kept an eye on myself to see, when I get a cough or a cold or any physical ailment, is it actually a physical ailment? Or is it a defense mechanism for any feeling or emotion that I have deep within me? And it's actually helped me realize that there would be some sniffles that would come up on a day, and I would say, ooh, okay, yeah, there's something I'm feeling. I would deal with that feeling, sniffle is gone, right? It's an activity that I have now done with myself for over 20 years, and I continue to do it. I remind myself the mind is ever so powerful, and it's good to keep track of the mind-body connection and see that they are in balance and one is not overtaking the other. The reason I've started this series is that not too many people talk about what happens in their mind and all their emotions and feelings. And for someone who has gone through the ringer and come out of it very successfully, it's something I am out here to talk about, to build awareness. And like we all go to a doc when we have a cough, a cold, a pain, a muscle ache, let's also go to the doc when we feel that our mind is having a little bit of an issue. It's an organ after all. So, let's get it treated when it needs to, and let's take preventive action when we know that something is happening. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you also reach out for help whenever you feel it is needed.